some room here. You ladies and gentlemen have a Transformers shelf. If you move one figure, they all want to move. So if you're not careful, you can have a plastic avalanche. Just bear with me here a little bit, folks. I'm bouncing off the walls a little. I haven't had my caffeine yet, and I just woke up. Let me just get myself set up here. All right. I think that's good right there. All right. Okay, I think I'm good to go, finally. Just bear with me here. Like I said, ladies and gentlemen, I'm kind of bouncing off the walls a little bit. I haven't had my breakfast or caffeine yet. And I slept a lot last night. Surprisingly, I slept a lot. I think the new natural B vitamins that I'm taking is having a profound effect on my sleep cycle. Ever since I stopped taking the over-the-counter stuff and taking the natural stuff, the P5P, I've noticed a huge difference in my sleep, and I'm probably sleeping a little too much now, so I'm going to have to adjust my intake. But cheers to all of you, the unofficial drink of the channel, sugar-free Red Bull, of course. That's my source of caffeine. Not a coffee drinker. You'd be surprised, as a former New Yorker, you think I'd be drinking coffee. I just don't like the taste. Ah, it's ice cold. Thank you, everybody, my friends, family, neighbors, all the staff and crew that are here, maintenance guys, everybody, thank you so much. You know, I appreciate your time and your patience, you know, while I'm going through a very, I guess you want to say, emotional and angry period yet again for something that's not my fault. You know, it's just a real shame that, you know, unfortunately, this is the way the world is when you have selfish, disgusting, low-life dirtbag people who just don't seem to really give a damn about anything but themselves. They don't care who they hurt. They don't care how much pain they cause. They just don't care. Well, I did get a note of encouragement this morning. I actually sold a vintage Rawlings. I had 2 of them, actually. Well, technically, I had 3 of them, of the Rick Vaughn jerseys from the movie Major League. I do have one on my chair right here, but this is a replica version of that jersey that fits me. So that's my Rick Vaughn jersey that I use for my Rick Vaughn uniform / costume. And I chose to get this from a company, I believe it's called Boris Customs. Online, they make really good replica jerseys. I actually have the Al Bundy hockey slash baseball jersey. I'm sorry, this hockey slash football jersey that Ed O'Neill used. They have a pretty decent replica of that over at the website that I bought years ago. I bought that. I bought the baseball bunch jersey from them. There's a couple jerseys I bought from them. They're a little pricey, but I did have some vintage Rawlings Indians jerseys. One did have Rick Vaughn 99 on it that I just sold recently. And then I forgot that I had another one that I had the template for, but I never got around to attaching or taking it to a tailor or seamstress to have the nameplate attached. And I just sold it this morning, which is cool. And the customer left me a really, really awesome message saying, I've been looking for one of these for years. I really appreciate it. Thank you for, letting it go and all that kind of thing. So, I like messages like that when my customers are happy that they get something they've been looking for. It's encouraging, So that made me happy. That kind of made my day today because lately I've been feeling pretty lousy. I don't have to tell my regular viewers why. It's kind of a shame that this person has made no effort to explain herself why she did what she did, but I don't expect that to ever happen. And it's not going to happen. What's going on, Josh? How you doing? Good morning, my friend. It is actually almost 11 o'clock here my time in North Carolina, and getting some orders ready to ship. I want to get to the post office and get out early. I kind of want to have a nice quiet day. I know my boys Bayern Munich, they're playing right now as I'm making this live stream, but I think they're playing Eintracht Frankfurt. So that was actually one of the 2 Rick Vaughn jerseys I sold. So, but that was cool. I was really encouraging that the customer sent me a message like that saying that, they're grateful that I made it available for sale and that they were looking for one of them. Yeah, because the 2 I had were actual Rawlings jerseys. I mean, they weren't the player versions or the exact versions that they used in the film. But to find Rawlings Indian jerseys in the sizes that I had them, I had a size 44 and a 46, which are roughly medium large and large extra large. But, unfortunately, I take a true extra large these days. So those 2 jerseys are just sitting there for years and years and years. And surprisingly, the Major League, the movie, still has an awesome fan base. So I was shocked that they sold as quickly as they did. So the one I got out, I mailed it out the same day I sold it. And I'm going to try to do that today because the weather looks kind of wonky outside. It was pouring rain this morning around my neck of the woods, and it looks like for now it's stopped. But the weather cooled down. Yesterday it was like 80 degrees. But they said there was gonna be a bit of a cool down, so hopefully I get these over to the post office before it closes because they close pretty early on Saturday. And the faster I get these orders out, the happier customers I have. And believe me, right now, I really need to keep my mind busy because of what happened recently, I want to thank my friends here and my neighbors who, were nice enough to spend some time with me the other day. I talked about that in one of my live streams yesterday. That, it was cool to, come check on me or say, hey, come hang out with us and that sort of thing to help me get my mind off of this travesty that happened on Valentine's Day. Little by little, I'm still recovering from it, but, my logical brain is always trying to understand human nature and why people just do things without any thought or consequence behind it. You know, no matter how nice you treat people, no matter how, you know, the kind of good you do for them, no matter what you do, it's like, you know, people are just so fucking savage and evil that, you know, it hurts, man. It really hurts. It's awful. It's really awful. I don't do that to people, man. I don't fuck people over like that. I try to treat everybody the same, no matter what background, skin color, size, shape. I don't do that to people, man. It's not my style. But when people mistreat me, that's when I lash out and retaliate, and rightfully so. Oh man, that's ice cold. And thank you for joining me this morning. My eBay customers once again showed up in full force the past couple days, so thank you for that. I actually listed some more jerseys for sale. I think I have 2 more left that are up at my eBay store. One's a Daniel Jones Vapor Elite jersey from the New York Giants. And the second one is a Bayern Munich jersey from 2 seasons ago. I'm still having trouble selling this. I may take it down sooner than later. I listed this Barry Bonds auto. That's the one that I pulled on camera here on the channel. And, you know, it's insulting when I get messages of these supposed collectors that are trying to lowball me to get this for much cheaper than what it's valued for. And I'm not one that really get into value, but unfortunately, you have to kind of like step out of your own personal beliefs and realize that, you know, I'm running a business from home. And I didn't realize that, look at all the birds flying around by my window here. That's cool. And caught my attention. I really got to get some bird houses for my patio. Otherwise, they're going to make a nest up there like they did last year. But anyway, yeah, I'm having difficulty trying to sell this because little did I know that Topps Chrome 2020, I don't know if it's update or flagship, where there are more Barry Bonds autos now floating around that Topps issued. I saw this on eBay because I comped the card recently, and I actually lowered the price of this card yet again. And there aren't that many that are graded, to be honest with you. There's one PSA 10 of this version of this card, which I believe is up for sale right now, as a matter of fact. The guy's asking, I think it's an out of 25 orange. The guy's asking like $5,000 for the damn thing. I'm like, Jesus, you know what I mean? But I didn't realize that Topps Chrome now has Barry Bonds autos, and I think there's another set where Barry's actually putting ink to cards. So that's obviously, now that there are a lot more Barry Bonds autos out there, what do you think is going to happen? The prices are going to start to plummet. And the messages that I'm getting, I mean, I have to be honest here, are insulting. I got people asking me to sell this for $500, $600, $700. I'm like, Jesus. These things have been selling ungraded raw consistently for $1,000 or more. And I think the price I'm asking for, especially now that I've recomped the card at $1,059 plus priority shipping, I think is a decent price for this card in an 8.5 SGC. But, you know, these are people that think they're slick. They want to buy the card, to probably crack the card, to re-slab the card, or flip the card themselves. You know, I'm not doing that shit no more, where I'm selling cards just for other people to flip. You know, I rather sell to people tell me, and I have had this happen in the past, where I've had customers tell me, hey, listen, I'm not going to lie to you. I'm going to take this card and grade it if you're not going to grade it. So, you know, and that's like, oh, that's fine. You know, I appreciate your honesty with me. You know, I'll do my best, and if they ask me for extra photos, I'll take extra photos of the card. But ATG here is saying that I don't know anything about baseball. Is it an entertaining sport? It doesn't look entertaining. Well, I mean, obviously you see what I'm wearing, right? I'm a German soccer fan, or football, or futeball, or soccer here, what they call it in America. I prefer German soccer. Right now, Bayern Munich is playing Eintracht Frankfurt, but I'm doing this live stream because I got these orders I have to get out today. But they've made a lot of improvements to make the sport, especially like in football or soccer, with VAR and all that kind of stuff to try to make the calls more accurate because obviously there is going to be human error. But over the past several years, I mean, I got away from baseball for a while for those exact reasons. It just was not entertaining to me anymore. I tend to watch American football. I'm a New York Giants fan also. But lately, they've made strides to try to get the game to go a lot faster and to be a lot more accurate. So now they have, they replay certain plays. They have a pitch counter now. So you have to throw pitches within a certain time frame. Now they have like a pitching challenge now that they're experimenting with in the preseason to make sure that calls are honest by the umpires, because the umpires get calls wrong with strikes and balls. They've actually made the bases bigger to try to close the distance between the bases so that you can run. So are you excited for the World Cup, for the Weltmeisterschaft, if the U.S. and Germany happens? Well, of course, Germany. All the way. I actually have a Florian Wirtz jersey that I just bought. And I started going through, my jerseys and stuff like that. I have a pretty decent retro collection. I try not to buy modern jerseys anymore because they do eventually fall apart. The numbers get tacky and sticky because of the material they're made out of. So I tend to get retro jerseys, which, the classics never die, especially if you're a German soccer fan or a Bayern Munich fan or any fan of any football team in Europe. Those jerseys never get old. Like I have a Gerd Müller 1977 retro jersey. I have a couple Franz Beckenbauer retro jerseys, a couple of Karl-Heinz Rummenigge and Lothar Matthäus jerseys. But the modern jersey, it's just because everything is all plastic and rubber. This stuff, if you don't use the right soaps on it, for example, this will actually turn to mush. It turns to like a sticky, gooey, whatever it is. Like there's like some sort of chemical reaction on the plastic that destroys these jerseys. So, I don't buy as many jerseys as I usually would. But Bayern Munich have been really killing it this season. So I bought their home jersey. And I bought their Champions League jersey. The Champions League jersey looks phenomenal. The all black with the off-white Deutsche Telekom and all that kind of stuff. I bought it with Harry Kane on the back. So as a matter of fact, I'll get, because I got so many reviews to do. I haven't got around to doing them. Give me 1 second. Yeah, so these are the 3 new ones that I bought that I have to do reviews on. I just never got around to it because of all the personal stuff that's been happening off camera that I've been talking about in my previous live streams. But there's the Florian Wirtz. It looks so much like the 1990 jersey. It's such a shame that Adidas is not going to be their supplier of uniforms anymore, because the German national team has performed so poorly over the past few years that now Nike is going to be making their jerseys. Just what we need, Nike, to manufacture Germany jerseys. I can expect rainbow numbers on there. And I don't support the rainbow shit. I mean, each to their own. But, to incorporate politics into sports jerseys, I can't stand that stuff. So I expect to see rainbow numbers on here like they do with the United States. Because, apparently it's not what you do, it's what's between your legs that matters the most these days, which it shouldn't be that way. It should be your skill, what you can provide, how hard you work, not what between your legs or what you imagine yourself to be. I can imagine myself to be a rocket ship, but that doesn't make me a rocket ship. So that's what bothers me about Nike taking over. I hope they don't put fucking rainbow numbers on their jerseys. There's this season's Bayern home jersey. Of course, you got to have the now 500 goal scoring king of striking in Bayern Munich, Harry Kane. He's on course, hopefully, to break Lewandowski's record, who broke Gerd Miller's record a couple of years ago. And the Champions League jersey just looks amazing. I love this thing. This has become my new favorite jersey right here, until another nicer one comes around. I mean, I give equal love to all of my jerseys, but this year's Bayern Champions League jersey and that Germany jersey just looks amazing. And I do have the 1990 retro jersey with Lothar Matthäus that they came out with in the 2014 World Cup. But they really dropped the ball on the sizing with that jersey because, it wasn't true to size. They went the opposite with that jersey. So if you bought a large, it fit like an extra large. If you bought an extra large, it fit like a 2XL. So I had to hunt out a large. And of course, by that time, they were already sold out. So I had to get it through eBay and then take it to a seamstress and have it tailored to my size because it was just way too long. It looked really strange and bizarre. But anyway, yeah, I can't wait to see the World Cup. But, the way the United States handles the sport with MLS, I don't know. I mean, we got Charlotte FC that just released their new uniform and all that kind of thing. I don't know. I've never been to a Charlotte FC game. I've been to live football matches when I used to live in New York. I've seen Bayern when they've come here to the States. I've seen the U.S. national team. I've seen Argentina. I've seen a couple of games live. I've seen the CONCACAF Gold Cup between the U.S. and Mexico at the old Giant Stadium. That was an experience. It's actually pretty scary, man, because the Mexican fans, they get out of control really quick. But not for nothing, Mexico beat the piss out of the United States. I think it was like 5-0 or something like that. My brother, myself, and a couple of his buddies went to go watch the game at the stadium. So I am more of an MMA boxing fan, but I grew up in an Arsenal household. I'm not a fan of field sports, but I admire their passion. Arsenal have been dropping points left and right. I mean, I don't know if they're at the top of the EPL this season, but I know they gave Bayern a hard time in the Champions League this year. But I think they're at risk of losing their place in the EPL. I think they're top of the league over there, if I'm not mistaken. I have to check the stats in the EPL. But MMA, I've watched it a handful of times. I never really got into it. My dad, before he died, he was a big boxing fan. But I never really got into MMA, and neither did he. Neither did he. I mean, I'll watch it if it's on TV or, if I'm out and about. I mean, I don't go to bars or pubs or anything like that anymore. To be honest with you, I'm more of a homebody these days. But yeah, I don't know. I'm very selective about the stuff I watch. It's just I never really got into the whole MMA thing. I did watch that Floyd Mayweather Conor McGregor farce years ago, which I thought was a joke. I mean, I can't imagine a guy like Conor McGregor fighting in the, or boxing professionally, because with MMA, you're using your whole body. And if you were to take the restraints off a guy like Conor McGregor, Floyd Mayweather would have got his ass beat. And boxing truly is a skill, man. I mean, it really is. I mean, you really have to use your upper body and your fist and your defenses and all that stuff. Whereas MMA, it's just like, you get in and you get out. You know what I mean? So I guess it all depends. Everybody has their thing that they like. But, for me personally, I don't know. I never really got into it too much. It was never my thing. But if that's one thing I will say about where I live here in Charlotte versus, my former home of Itla, who pronoun leftist asshole cross-dressing New York City, where I grew up. That's a big sporting town. New York Yankees, which I am a fan of still. The New York Mets, which I'm still a fan of. The Giants, still a fan. I've seen Red Bull New York. I've seen NYCFC. I've even seen the modern version of the New York Cosmos, surprisingly, if you're a football fan. All the way out. I think that's Hofstra University where they played. They're supposed to be making another comeback, the New York Cosmos. Yeah, I'm Irish, and I thought it was ridiculous. Conor would have killed him in MMA, but in boxing, he had no chance. Yeah, because you could. I watched the fight, and I barely. I didn't get excited for it because I know Conor McGregor would have rearranged Floyd Mayweather 10 times over, but you can see like how restrained he was when he was in the ring. Ooh, do we have a live purchase? New from seller. No, another advertisement. Damn it. Oh well. Anyway, that's the alert on eBay. Usually when I hear that cha-ching, that means I made a sale. Anyway, yeah, you can see Conor was very restrained. Very restrained. You could tell, like, I guess as an experienced fighter, I'm sure he can control his emotions and stuff like that. I mean, he didn't have any indication that he was going to kick or knee or do any of that kind of stuff or grapple, but you can see he was definitely out of his element. It was like watching ice melt. But Floyd Mayweather, man, I mean, he's no pushover. I mean, he was past tense a good fighter. He really was. I'm not gonna deny the man the skill that he has as a boxer, or had past tense as a boxer when he was fighting before he quit. But yeah, everybody's got their niche. Everybody's got their thing that they like. Me, it's now that here in the States. Oh, by the way, happy St. Patrick's Day. I did decorate outside, even though I got German roots. I got a couple shamrocks out there with your typical stereotypical leprechaun decorations out there. So, plus I got the green lights out there for St. Patty's. So happy St. Patrick's Day. But yeah, you could tell, like, you could tell Conor McGregor really wanted to fight. Wasn't he running for political office in the Republic of Ireland? He was very stiff. He couldn't grapple, kick, or wrestle. His strength taken away. I watched it, but it was silly. Yeah, now he's trying to become a politician. I know he's been trying to fight for the Republic of Ireland. Unfortunately, with the Republic of Ireland and Northern Ireland, they've been really, really dealing with a lot of stuff like we're dealing with here in the United States with the influx of, illegal immigrants and Muslim, infiltrators who have been attacking women and Sharia law and all that kind of stuff. I don't want to get political or anything like that, but we've been dealing with that stuff here for a long time. And we've been resisting all of that stuff. And when I heard Conor McGregor was going to run for office to try to bring back Irish pride, I was kind of like secretly going like this, like, yeah, do it, man, do it. You got to get out there and fight for your people. Like I was like secretly cheering for him because, they need a strong figurehead in Ireland. Like even here, I mean, we got the great orange man, Mr. Trump, fighting for us. Again, not to get political, but yeah, I was secretly rooting for Conor McGregor to run for Irish office, man. That would have been awesome. I don't know if he actually succeeded or not. I haven't followed up with it since I heard that he was running for office there, but it's just it's unfortunate with the European Union what they're doing to even England, for example. And England are caving at the wayside, like France right now are caving at the wayside. Germany is caving at the wayside. All because of this globalist nonsense. You look at the United Kingdom, Tommy Robinson constantly getting arrested because of his beliefs. I mean, it's kind of sick, to tell you the truth, but that would have been awesome. And I hope if Conor McGregor does push a political career, I will promise you, my friend, that I will be secretly cheering for him to succeed, as he should. So, I didn't realize I had these envelopes here. Why did I take this? Oh, that's because last night's live stream I actually re-sleeved my Shohei Otani because that one was a little old and wonky. I forgot. That's why that's there. Okay. But anyway, back to sports talk. Yeah, he looked very stiff. He looked like a surfboard. You can tell, like, he was very restrained and holding himself back and all that sort of thing. So, anyway, quick shameless e-beg. If you're new to the channel, everybody, do me a huge solid. If you haven't done so already, hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, and check out my eBay store, the Carolina Collector 001. The link is in the description box of this live stream below. You click on that link, it'll take you right to my eBay store. I still have well over 600 items for sale. My eBay customers, again, have been killing it, as you just saw here on camera. Here's my latest batch of orders I just fulfilled. I'm going to try to get these out. Hopefully it doesn't rain. It was raining early this morning, but they're my latest orders that are packed and ready to go. I'll get those to the post office today. And hopefully it'll be a nice, quiet, relaxed, subdued day where I can just kind of mellow out. But if you want to support the channel, that's how you can do it. And again, I'm seriously considering pulling this down because the offers that I'm getting from certain people are quite insulting. That, there are people that are out there, and I know how the sports card hobby is, that, I'm always willing to negotiate prices, but don't insult my intelligence by offering me a lowball offer for things. Especially a card like this. I am aware that there are a lot of Barry Bonds autos out there now, especially that Topps Chrome has released a set of his autos. But don't insult my intelligence and try to get something for cheap so that you can flip my cards. And I've had people flip my cards in the past, but not for something like this. That's not happening, man. I am dumb, but I am not so dumb. And so I'm considering pulling that listing down today sometime. Most likely by the end of tonight. If nobody picks it up, I'm probably just going to keep it in my personal collection. Because I didn't realize that Topps Chrome released a whole new batch of Barry Bonds autos. So what do you think that's going to do? Of course, now they saturated the market. Now everybody's going to be like, oh, well, now there's this auto, and there's this auto, and according to Card Ladder, this one sold at this, and it's just like it never fucking ends. It's like whack-a-mole with some of these people. I get wanting something for nothing, but don't be insulting. And besides, it's still my card until I sell it. So whatever price I'm asking for, I think is, I think it's logical to assume I could sell it for whatever I want. But anyway, with that being said, I've actually been putting together a set of cards for a good buddy of mine back in New York. Little by little, I've been plucking cards out of my personal collection because this person hooked me up with 2 boxes of baseball cards already. So, what's going on, Juan? How you doing? Good morning, my friend. It's still the morning, right? Yeah, okay. I lose track of time easy. Yeah, I'm trying to get myself back in track here, folks. I'm gonna see how the day pans out. I just showed off those 3 jerseys again that I bought recently. I definitely want to review these when I get a chance. So a little spoiler alert. Especially this thing is amazing. Yeah, so you're an hour behind here on the East Coast. So yeah, it's still morning time around my neck of the woods, but I'm trying to get back on track again and get away from, what happened last week on Valentine's weekend. It was just a real disaster, a real disaster. And I'm kind of glad I talked about it just to get it out of my system. I took a week off from social media. I think what I'm going to do from now on is every time I take a break, like an extended break, like a week or 2 weeks, whatever, I'm going to pull my avatar down, pull the banner down so that people know that, I'm kind of walking away for a little bit, but it's been difficult. That was this it was disgusting when I saw what I saw. I've already beaten this topic to death like a dead horse, but it still hurts, nonetheless. So, but anyway, I got a whole collection of New York Yankees cards here for a good buddy of mine. I got him DJ. This is out of my personal collection now. Like I said, this friend of mine um, sent me multiple boxes of baseball cards. The least I can do is reciprocate. And so slowly, I've been plucking cards out of my personal collection. There's a DJ LeMahieu, got an Aaron Judge Topps Gold that I was selling, but I pulled it out for him. There's a CC Sabathia out of 199 Black Relic. I really don't like selling relics because they get damaged. Almost every single relic I've ever sold has been damaged during shipping. Got a Giancarlo Stanton for him, an Andy Pettit. Got a Mariano Rivera refractor for him. Got a Donnie Baseball Prism. Now, even though he's in his St. Louis uniform, this is a Paul Goldschmidt. What would you rather buy, an authentic jersey or a regular one? Oh. These days, it depends on the player. It depends on the jersey. And there are a lot of factors. Like football jerseys, like my Eli Manning jerseys, they are all Vapor Elite jerseys, or they are Vapor Limited jerseys, or, the mid-range jerseys, like my Aaron Judge jerseys that I bought for last season, which segue over into this season. I prefer the mid-range jerseys. They run at Fanatics typically for like $175. And they're not bad quality. I mean, I did have the Anthony Volpe jersey, and it was all textured and all that weird stuff, and was cut long. And but is it really worth having an authentic jersey? I would have to say, even this one I'm wearing, this is not an authentic Bayern Munich jersey. This is actually a reproduction of their Champions League final jersey, because they never sell it like that. You could tell it's not correct anyway, because that number 9 is wrong on the back. That number 9 should not look like that. There's a different number 9, but I bought it because what the hell? It was available. It was cheap. I think I only paid like $30 or $40 for this jersey. But there are certain jerseys I'm not going to waste my time spending $400 or $500 on jerseys anymore, because it's just simply not worth it. There are certain jerseys I would pay a premium for. Again, depending on the player, the tournament, the history behind that player. Like I have a Mitchell and Ness Don Mattingly home jersey, which was worth the price. I got that on eBay. Thank God for cheap. I found a Mitchell and Ness Eli Manning jersey from Super Bowl 42, which I was able to get for cheap on eBay, because they go for like $400 or $500. I think I paid like maybe $200 for mine on eBay. And it is a legitimate one. Like, I legit check all my jerseys. Being a jersey collector after all these years, I know exactly what to look for. But every kind of jersey is bootlegged at some point or another. Just like this one. Like I said, Bayern Munich never released their Champions League version of their home jersey, which is kind of a shame. It's a lost opportunity for them. I don't know why to this day they don't do it. But, because I got it for cheap, I said, what the hell? I pulled the trigger on it, and I'm wearing it, and I don't care. It's my money. I'll do what I want. I always seem to buy players from old school. Yeah, that's what I was just talking about that here on camera. I prefer the retro stuff these days than buying. It really has to catch my attention for me to want to buy a modern jersey. Like, again, I got the home and Champions League versions of Bayern Munich's jersey. This thing just looks amazing. And then, of course, the World Cup jersey for Florian Wirtz. These three I decided to put on because all three of them just look awesome. But these days, I've really been not going out of my way to buy as many jerseys as I used to, because especially with soccer jerseys, if you don't take care of them properly, first off, the material is very delicate. They can get pulls and tears and stretches. And then the plastic on them tends to melt and turn to like a squishy goo after a while if you don't use the proper soaps. And you're not supposed to use fabric softener on these jerseys for that reason, because there's a chemical reaction with the plastics that they use with the lettering and the match details and things like this that can actually deteriorate the material. So, and, I'm very picky and very choosy. That's why a lot of my jerseys are retro jerseys or reproductions these days. I mean, a lot of my jersey collection are authentic, or I should say, true to the manufacturer. But how would you recommend washing a jersey? I think the best thing is in baby detergent in cold water. That's the best way to do it. And then if you have to take care of a kit, I would use a microfiber cloth with stain cleaner, a non-bleaching stain cleaner like Shout or something like that, and just, mildly on the surface. So like if you got a microfiber like this, you on a damp microfiber, spray a little bit of spray and wash on there and just lightly clean off the stains. But if you have to wash a jersey, you do it with Dreft baby detergent or some sort of detergent that's like for allergies or people that have severe allergies. It has no dyes, no coloring in it, and hand wash it and let it hang dry. Never put a jersey in a dryer of any type. If you put a jersey in a dryer, it can actually cause some of the material to either shrink, or if it's got plastics in it, like this tee here, it'll melt. And you don't want that. So you want to hand wash everything in baby detergent. Like Dreft is the best for that sort of thing. Spot cleaning, I would use a microfiber cloth because, again, these materials are so delicate. You got to watch, how you take care of it. With white jerseys, you can spot clean it with a little bit of bleach, but you want to dilute that bleach first. So I would take like a little shot glass or a cup with 3 parts water, 1 part bleach, and take a Q-tip and stir it in a shot glass, and then just gradually, little by little, work it into the stain, and then with a microfiber cloth, clean it so you don't damage the surface of the jersey, and then let it sit. And then with some spray and wash or some Dreft shampoo, clean it again, and then completely wash the jersey, because you don't want that bleach sitting in there. Because I've had instances way back when, many years ago, a lot of my jerseys, I actually have an example of one jersey that can be affected by bleach adversely. And this one's famous for that. And that's this one. Even if you have an original, Adidas actually used original materials based on their 1990 jersey. So when they reissued, this is the 2014 version of this jersey, if I'm not mistaken, when they dropped the whole 1990 set. There should be a day of birth tag on here. Let me see. Might be down here, because I bought this with the jacket, and I have the sweatshirt as well. There should be a born on tag, unless, because this is a jersey I had tailored, because the 1990 jerseys, unfortunately, when they reissued these, I don't know why they reissued them so big like the way they did. I had to have it cut down. So I think the born on where the hell? Usually they're up here on the shoulder. But anyway, a jersey like this, you don't want to put in the wash machine. And you certainly don't want to use bleach on a material like this, because it will turn yellow. These jerseys in particular are notorious for turning yellow. So you don't want that. I think when I had this jersey tailored, because I had it trimmed down about 3 inches. The born on date must have been down here somewhere. But yeah, this type of material is notorious for turning yellow. So the only thing you want to use is cold water with baby detergent. And if you have to spot treat, especially with bleach on material like this, use 3 parts water, 1 part bleach in a shot glass with a Q-tip, and then just lightly dab on there. And then use a microfiber cloth to clean it, and then wash the entire jersey, because eventually what will happen is that bleach will dry and crystallize, and you'll see like a circle on there where you applied the bleach. So you would have to wash the whole jersey to even it out. So, do you have size problems with Mitchell and Ness? Yeah, they run small. So my Mike Piazza jersey that I have, the Mitchell and Ness 911 jersey, and a little note to any Mitchell and Ness collectors: football jerseys and baseball jerseys, they only run 44, 48, 52, 56. They only run in the even numbers. They never run in odd numbers. And again, I have examples of that, as a matter of fact. Let me pull out one or two jerseys here. So let me hang these up, get these out of the way, because I don't want these getting all messed up. So I got some examples here of Mitchell and Ness jerseys. Now I don't buy the fan versions. I try to get the elite versions. And this is an example of me going after the elite version. This is my Eli Manning Super Bowl 42 jersey. And this is one of those jerseys I very rarely wear. But again, you can see the material it's made out of. It's made out of that shiny material. So it's always susceptible to scuffs and all that sort of thing. So you got to be careful with it. And if I had to wash this thing, I would wash this in cold water with baby detergent, excuse me, and then hang dry it. But it's a size 44. And these do run small. So if it says extra large on it, like you see, this one says large, it's going to fit like a 2XL. And for me, you kind of, well, it depends. I like my jerseys to be a little bit more form-fitting. So I can fit into a 44. I can also wear a 48. Because especially when the weather's cold outside, I like to use turtlenecks like Adidas or Nike or something like that. So let me show you how this one fits here. You get to see my old man muscles. So look at all that weight I lost, man. It's nice to finally have some definition in my abdomen. No more beer belly for me. You know what I mean? But little tidbit for you fans out there of these jerseys. There are a couple things to look forward to, or a couple things that you have to look for. Excuse me. Mitchell and Ness tags are a dead giveaway for fakes. It should be pure white. If you see any kind of red tint in a tag, and there are two different types of tags. You have this tag, and then you have one that's stitched on all four sides. You got to watch with that. And if it's an odd number, it's most likely fake. No Mitchell and Ness jersey runs 46. I'm sorry. Let me correct myself here. There's no such thing as 46, 42, 50, or 54. They only run 44, 48, 52, 56. So this is a correct one. So it runs size 44, which is about an XL to me. So if you put this on like so, it should fit like a true extra large. So you want to make sure you get it a size. You want to get it a size. Did I say this right? I might be saying this wrong. You want to get it a size smaller. Yeah, that's right. If I fit an extra large fits me, so you want a large in Mitchell and Ness. Okay, so I said that wrong. My apologies. So you see how it fits me. It fits me really nice. And it looks like an XL. It fits like an XL. That's what I like about the Mitchell and Ness jerseys. They run small. So I fit into extra large these days. Obviously, you just saw what you saw. I lost a ton of weight. I'm about 192, 194 pounds wet these days. So I've had to downsize my entire collection of jerseys. And now I fit into extra large kits, or a size 44 to a size 48, like you see here with this Eli Manning jersey. The only thing with the Mitchell and Ness jersey is you're not going to see the Reebok emblem on here, because they probably would have to pay extra for licensing for that. But you can actually find those on eBay. Reebok iron-on logos. You can put them on yourself if you want to. Little trick of the trade. Because see, like with this number 9, eventually, and this is another one of those projects I have in my brain that I would like to do, and that's to actually chemically peel this number off and put the right number 9 on there. But it's a fake jersey. It's, you know, they did that intentionally so that this way it doesn't get passed off as a real jersey, because they never sold this version of the Champions League jersey through Bayern Munich. So, but that's not only that, you have to look for the Sammy Baugh tag. There are 2 or 3 different types of tags on Mitchell and Ness jerseys. Let me look at my Mattingly jersey. What tag does that have? Because that's a Mitchell and Ness. And I also got my Phil Simms here. So give me 1 second here, folks. I apologize. I'm a little confused at it. All right, so here's my Phil Simms jersey, which I never got around to reviewing on the channel. I said that about 2 or 3 years ago. You can see, again, nice, clean, white tag. Flip it up, size 48. So this thing would run big on me. This would fit like a 2XL. So, again, I'm saying it wrong. They run big, so you have to buy small. Okay. I keep saying it wrong. I apologize, folks. So if you want to get an XL, you would have to buy a size 44. If you want a 2XL, you buy this. Because typically a size 48 in any other jersey, like Nike jerseys today, would be an extra large. But Mitchell and Ness runs big, so you want to buy small. So this thing fits me a lot bigger. And you can see that, you know, just by me not even trying it on. So, and we got my Don Mattingly jersey. Now to get around me screwing up this Mitchell and Ness kit, which is this guy right here. Again, you can see the authentic Mitchell and Ness tag, size 48 XL. Now this is an exception to the rule, because baseball jerseys tend to run a little small. So this one fits me properly. It all depends. Like there's also this weird caveat with Mitchell and Ness that I'm forgetting, and that's why I'm confusing myself. They're all made in different places. Like this one's made in China. So that one's made in China. This one's made in China. This one's made in Vietnam. There are like 5 or 6, and some of them are made here in the States, and every one of them is cut different. Oh, that's right. My whatchamacallit there, my Mark Bavaro jersey. That's a good example. See, there are different versions of these tags, and depending when they were made and how they were made. See, on this authentic Mark Bavaro jersey, which is very hard to find, by the way. I'm lucky I found this one. Everything's all stitched on, where it should really be heat transfer like you saw in that Phil Simms, but the tag on this one is completely different because this is an older model. You could see the Mitchell and Ness tag, again, is nice and clean and bright white, but you see this tag here, it's still made in China, but it's a difference. You see how it says 48 medium, where the other one said 48 XL. So there are a lot of variables, especially with vintage Mitchell and Ness jerseys like this one. I got very lucky and found this Bavaro jersey. This one fits me completely different, but it's a little goofy because this jersey, compared to that Phil Simms one, is actually cut and designed for shoulder pads, which is wild. You know what I mean? So if I would have put this on, it would make my shoulders look a lot bigger than what they really are. So this one is cut like an actual player football jersey. So But the vintage ones are awesome. But here again, you see the Sammy Bow tag, the jock tag on there. It's nice and clean. There are two different versions of this Sammy Bow tag, or as far as his face are concerned. But if he looks like an alien, don't trust it. Most likely it's fake. There's so many different variants and so many variables with Mitchell and Ness. You got to know what you're looking for. Now I heard another ching on my phone. Am I having some good luck here, or what's that? Oh, it's a message from my customer. I'll read that later. That's the customer that bought that second jersey off of me, the Rick Vaughn jersey. So, yeah, there are a lot of variables you got to be careful with. You got to be very careful. Now, I'm not supporting counterfeiting or bootlegs or anything like that, but I got good examples of jerseys that I do have. Here, like this is my authentic Mitchell and Ness Don Mattingly jersey with the Mickey Mantle Memorial patch on the sleeve, number 7. And this one fits me like your standard extra large. It fits me really well. I love this jersey, and it's so soft in the material. And I do have authentic player versions of Yankees jerseys. I think I have Alex Rodriguez and Derek Jeter jerseys that have like this similar material. It's very, very, very soft and very fragile. So I ended up buying one of these. This is a Majestic Cooperstown collection jersey. So this is like a mid-range replica of that you're looking at right there, and you can tell because the number 7 is really small. It should be big. The tags are different. It still has the A cut on the back that I call it. The Yankees and very, very few Major League Baseball teams have that. So you want to look for that detail. And another reason why I bought this Majestic jersey of Don Mattingly's away kit is because I have a vintage Rawlings that I do wear sometimes, but it's starting to show its age, and I really don't want to mess this jersey up because to find a Don Mattingly Rawlings jersey, if I can find a Wilson jersey of his, I'd be happy because I'm a big Don Mattingly fan. But to have a Rawlings jersey, the Yankees never had that on the sleeve. The Yankees back then were very, very stern about their uniform policy with no advertising, no patches. I mean, they would always have the Mickey Mantle or memorial patch on the sleeves. But even with the fan jerseys, they were very stingy with that sort of thing. That's just how it was with George Steinbrenner. He implemented all that crap. But it was more for tradition than anything else. But I bought one of these, which is a Majestic replica of this jersey, because I don't want to ruin this. This is one of those jerseys I very rarely wear, which is why I bought this. Same reason why I bought the Majestic home jersey, because I don't want to mess up that Mitchell and Ness one that I have. So there is logic. There is rhyme to reason why I do goofy stuff like this. I do wear this Don Mattingly jersey, but in very rare instances do I pull this thing out. Well, now they're allowed to. I remember with Don Mattingly, if you remember, was benched because he refused to get rid of his mullet. And guys are very superstitious in any sport. Guys are very superstitious. Like they'll wear a baseball hat for like 5 seasons and it'll smell like shit and have salt from all the sweat encrusted around the hat. It's because they're superstitious. They think it brings them good luck. And so Don Mattingly, back in the days, he had the handlebars, very similar to like my dad had when he was alive, and had the mullet and the pigtail and all that kind of stuff. And Steinbrenner said nope. But Steinbrenner was a big asshole anyway. For whatever reason, he kind of he kind of singled out Mattingly, especially towards the end of his career, which was kind of awful. But with all that being said, I'm still a fan of Donnie baseball. I love this jersey, just like I love this jersey. The Mitchell and Ness jersey, I'm just terrified to ruin it. I just don't want to ruin those two kits. You know, everybody got their favorites. But what I do like, here are my Aaron Judge jerseys, which are going to segue. I want to get their preseason jersey. I like that black Nike preseason jersey. I'd love to get my hands on one of them. So these are the limited player jerseys I got from Fanatics, and I reviewed these on the channel, I believe. What's cool about these is that they're the authentic ones. The Vapor Elites are like $400 and something dollars. I sold mine on eBay for like $80 because it was an Anthony Volpe Vapor Elite, and Anthony Volpe had an awful season last year, and obviously the Yankees got knocked out by Toronto, thus to play, the LA Dodgers, and we all know how that turned out. But what's cool about this is that it has the look and the feel. It is textured, not quite like the authentic jersey, but both jerseys are textured, and they are half the price of the authentic jersey. They weigh and feel like an authentic jersey, a player jersey, but at least with these, they're very customizable. And I rather do things like this. Like I was able to track down their sponsor patches from last year. And as far as Aaron Judge's jersey is concerned, I was able to get the gold logo man patches and replaced the iron-on ones, because they're ironed on. So the actual patch that came on these jerseys was a plastic iron-on. So I chemically peeled it and tracked down these guys, because when you have a gold logo man on the back, either you're a Cy Young Award winner, Rookie of the Year, MVP, something like that. So I'm going to have to iron. Which one was it that I felt was starting to come off again? The only thing is, like, this, oh yeah, see, it's starting to come off again. I'm going to have this professionally stitched on. So, they're reproduction patches from eBay, and pretty good reproduction patches. Because the patches themselves, even on the player jerseys, a lot of them, they embed into baseball cards, and they're just as wonky. And unless you are a diehard collector, to me, it doesn't really matter. As long as it has the look and feel of what they wear on the field. I'll pay the extra $20 for eBay patches that look authentic like this. But, again, it's my money. You know what I mean? I like the look and feel of what the players would have on the field. Again, I had the Anthony Volpe jersey, the Vapor Elite, and I ended up selling it for dirt cheap. Nobody wanted to buy it. Volpe had a pretty bad season. So I ended up pulling the trigger on these two for the work, hoping that the Yankees would get into the series, and unfortunately they caved. But I'm gonna have to take an iron to these again, because they're starting to peel a little bit. That's the problem with iron-on patches. After a while, if you wash them too many times, they begin to peel off. It's probably better to get them stitched on than anything. But these are doing okay. These haven't peeled off or anything. There's no I can bend them around and there's no indication that they're coming off. But the sleeve patches, that's where a lot of movement is on the jersey. So unfortunately, these tend to peel like you see right there. So I just got to iron it back on again and it should be fine. But yeah, I treat these the same way I would treat any other jersey. If they get stained and all that, spray and wash, or on the Aaron Judge white jersey, you take a little diluted bleach, and then you could spot clean it, and then you got to wipe that bleach off quickly. And then, then you got to wash the jersey overall, because that bleach will crystallize in the material. And that's how jerseys turn yellow, unfortunately. So you got to watch out for that sort of thing. But otherwise, like I said, you use use baby detergent, Dreft, or any kind of anti-allergen detergent, and no fabric softener. Never use fabric softener on any jersey because it can actually ruin the material. So let me see what this is here. Man, it's nice to get back into this kind of talk, man. I miss this talk. Sports talk and jersey talk and hobby talk. You know, after what happened with that whole Valentine's Day debacle, it's nice to get back into this kind of conversation again. You know, so I appreciate that. You know what I mean? Thank you for that, for kind of like reinvigorating me. You know, I hate feeling miserable. You know, but this latest situation was just, you know, like yesterday when I did that live stream. You know, I was talking about how I took the time to do another repaint of these. I actually repainted the mesh. I was kicking a soccer ball around with some of the kids here where I live, and man, these took a bit of a beating. So I had to clean and bleach and clean and bleach the suede. And I had to take several brushes to smooth out the suede. I had to take a suede eraser, which I finally found in my drawer that was buried, to balance out the gray on the toe cap and on the side. Yeah, these are the SBs, the Nike SB Pine Greens. And I decided against my better judgment to repaint the mesh because these are starting to turn yellow. But on these shoes, it didn't look bad because, you know, obviously you got the gum soles on there. But I said, you know what, I might as well, you know, that's just me being OCD, I guess. If I do it to one, I have to do it to all my Jordans. So they were just starting to turn yellow because I haven't wore these too much. But then I decided, and there go the birds. They're probably getting ready to make a nest up there. There's two of them, two finches. You have to go on right for the boxes. See, that's why I got to get birdhouses up there. But anyway, that's a little weird. Anyway. Yeah, the Nike SBs. Yeah, these are comfortable. They're very comfortable. They're very nice on my feet. I love these things. I actually had to take a little bit of oil paint and get in there with the toe cap stitching to cover up some of the brown that was happening. I mean, I went in there with a brush, but I didn't want to brush it too hard. And I didn't want to use bleach because it could turn that material yellow also over time. So oil paint covered that up real nice. Like, you know, you couldn't even tell. You know, that I painted them. But little tricks of the trade like that just, you know, really extends the life of your shoes. You know, like if I really wanted to be anal, I actually have leather conditioner, and I also have ceramic conditioner. Have more padding than other regular ones do. Yeah, these on the sides, they're very thick. The tongue is very thick. Compared to my other Jordans, I mean, well, now they're using the old school, the OG cut, like the white cement fours have, where they went back to the drawing board and basically redesigned these shoes to be like the OGs from '89, which is when the original white cements were released in 1989, where now it has the fatter heel cap over here. And you can see the big hump right there between the midsole, you know, the lower and the upper. They are really nice. They are really nice and comfortable. I love these things. They're amazing. All my fours I love. I'm not really biased between any of my fours. I did want to get the reverse infrared sixes, but yeah, nobody's actually. There are a lot of YouTubers. It's funny you even posted that comment. No YouTuber liked those as skateboarding shoes. They actually, real skateboarders put those shoes to the test and found out that they suck. So it was a sales gimmick. That's all it was. If you're going to skateboard, use Converses and Vans like they always did. But yeah, now that they're nice and dry, that suede is so soft, especially after using a suede eraser and a couple brushes to really smooth out that suede. You know, it's funny because if you touch it in one direction, it makes it look dirty. Touch it in another direction, You know what I mean? It's just an optical illusion because it's so soft. I love how that suede feels. It's just awesome. There's the other shoe, all nice and repainted on the mesh. Yeah, where's do I leave it up there? Yeah, I might get another one of these just to have them. Yeah, this magic marker, this Sharpie medium pointed magic marker, that's what I use on the mesh. But you got to be careful that it doesn't run because you may get, pitting and spotting and all that kind of stuff. So you may want to tap it on a piece of paper once just to make sure that it doesn't have a big blob of paint on there. And then just casually over each line, just voop, 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 voop. Let them sit and dry for an hour. And before you know it, you get that result. I mean, they look like they're brand new. The camera's not doing it justice because of the natural light pouring into my living room here, but they just look awesome. And then you throw a little silicone paste there on the air bubble to clear that up, and you can revitalize your shoes like they're brand new, especially on the 3s and the 4s. But I wanted to get the reverse infrareds, but I skipped out on them. The sales sample, I think they call them, or the samples. I'm not gonna get them. Anyway, what time is it here? Noon already. Wow. So I am going to get these to the post office. Yeah, I got my military blues also. It's funny you said that. As a matter of fact, there are my military blues. Love these things. And they're an OG colorway. Now, for me, unfortunately, I don't know why I keep doing this. I have a problem scraping the inside of my foot. I'm going to have to give these a nice cleaning, too. This got a little... Oh, that's just suede. Again, it's that optical illusion. They look stained, but it's not. But I'm always scraping on almost every shoe I have. I don't know why I do this or how I do this, but I'm always scraping the inside of my shoe. Now, I've worn them a couple times. So far, the mesh on these hasn't changed color yet, but this is one of those colorways I treat with kid gloves because even though I wear my shoes, you can see how dirty they are on the bottom. I wear my shoes, but I tend to clean them on the outside with leather cleaner and all that stuff and a microfiber cloth and what have you, just to make sure that they look minty fresh. I put a lot of care into my shoes, man, because some of these colorways, they take like 10 years for them to come out. Do I wear them with the tag? Yeah, the tag, I leave the tag on there. That's what a lot of the guys used to do back in the days, but this tag, unfortunately, looks like it's ready to pop off just from the friction alone from this thing bouncing around. I'm sure I'm going to lose this thing in the street one day. I mean, I only wear the tag when it has the plastic tie on there. I won't wear them if it has the metal tie on there. Well, I'm an 80s kid, I'm going to be 49 in April. I grew up with all this stuff. So 1989, let's see, I graduated high school in 95, 94, 93, 92, 91, 90, 89. So I would have been in the 5th grade when these came out originally back in the 80s. 5th grade. And here I am as a grown adult still I didn't have a lot of Jordans. Neither did my brother, we had a lot of hard times in the family back then, but yeah, if I have Jordans I can wear the tags with, I leave the tags on. So let me go put these back on the shoe rack. I haven't even decided what I'm going to wear today. But of course, you got my all-time favorites. My all-time favorites. I coveted these so badly because, again, there were a lot of hard times that my family went through when, I was younger. My dad, unfortunately, was laid off for many years until construction started, getting back up again. And it's, oh, it still happens. People are still fist fighting over shoes. That's why sneaker culture died and why Nike had to be forced to revamp the way they sell shoes these days because it's pathetic. They're shoes. These are not going to help you get laid. These do not turn you into an instant millionaire. It doesn't increase the size of your ding dong. It's stupid. It's stupid. I wear these because it's part of my generation. We grew up with these. You're welcome, young people. But here, you look at the Jordan 4 2016s. Now, these are the ones that were dead. Well, I mean, no, they weren't dead stock. I wore them even before these came out. These are the 2025s. But, the first pair of the 2016s, man, I beat them up so bad. I couldn't wear them no more. They were just that bad that I finally pulled these off of my shoe rack and started wearing these now. And I have these dead stock on ice up on my shoe rack, the 2025s. And these are like my dream shoe. I love the 4 white cements. I always did as a kid. I saw other kids wearing these. I always wanted them. It was one of those things that I never had, like Optimus Prime, for example, G1 Optimus Prime. Oh, we had Transformers. I mean, I want to, big shout out to my mother and my father. I mean, they didn't know any better. Back then it was the 80s. My parents bought us Transformers. I don't want to sound ungrateful or anything like that, but I always wanted Optimus Prime and I never got him. And, as an adult, I got 9 different versions of Optimus Prime, as a toy collector. But, it was one of those things that I coveted. I really wanted an Optimus Prime toy as a kid, and I never got him. Oh, I got Thundercracker, I got Starscream, I got Hot Rod, I got Rodimus Prime. I had a couple Transformers as a kid. I never got Optimus Prime. I have him now. But this was one of those shoes I always wanted. And when my dad would take us to like one of those, like, what was that called in New York? Buster Brown, I think was the name of the shoe store. My dad took us to with my mom to go sneaker shopping. He did what he could. My father. I'm looking right at his photo right there up on my wall. I remember like being so embarrassed to like get the shoes that he was trying to pay for and going to school because everybody had Jordans and I was like the one kid that didn't have that sort of thing. But now when you're older and you look at it for what it is and going through the things I went through and even what I went through last week with this bitch, you appreciate the smallest of things and nothing is trivial. That there's, going through homelessness like I went through and everything else to finally come out on top and run my own business and still having to go through adversity. I appreciate everything that my dad did and he taught me right, man. And I've learned from those lessons that, when he lost his job, he worked in a union for many, many years. It got to a point where he was selling everything that he had. He was cleaning toilets, mopping floors. He did whatever he could. That's why today I take nothing for granted, man. But yeah, when he took us sneaker shopping or sent my mom, gave her money to go sneaker shopping, my mom at least understood, what it was to have that status quo type of thing. And she tried to get us the cheapest Nikes she could, or at least try to get, I can't speak for my brother, but it was always Nikes with me. I always loved Nikes. But back then, one shoe had to last for like a year or 2 years. Shoes back then got beat up. It's not like today when you're an adult, you can pretty much, if you can afford it, have multiple pairs of shoes. And you can, if you learn how to take care of these things, man, they'll last you for years. So they were $100 back in the days. I didn't have any Nike. I had Pros from Payless. Yeah, you had Payless shoes. You had Buster Brown. I'm trying to think. She used to take us to Woolworth. That sounds like my friend's dog on the other side of the property. She's probably outside. It's a little chilly out there. I know she had her granddaughter out there yesterday, but it is cold out today. Let me just see something here quick. I'll give this one little spot. Just a quick, something I noticed. That's what I like about the oil-based paints when you do this. All right, thanks a lot, buddy. I appreciate you showing up in the chat. Thank you very much. Yeah, I'm going to end the live stream in a little bit anyways. I want to get these to the post office before it's too late. Just wanted to do a little touch-up. Because on these particular Air Jordan 4s, I used the thin marker, and you can see I cheated on this pair because you can see the yellow is underneath there still. I mean, but underneath the shoelaces, the paint is going to come off because of friction. But I mean, just to keep up appearances, I mean, look how nice that looks. I don't know if the camera can pick it up, but because of the friction with the shoelaces, you know, some of the yellow is starting to show through, but that's fine. It's good that they have a little bit of patina on there anyways, because, I mean, these particular shoes are now 10 years old. They're gonna age. I mean, that's just how they are. I mean, you can kind of slow down the aging process on your shoe. You know, if you use like leather cleaner and ceramic cleaner for plastics and silicone paste for the you know, the air pockets, you can really extend the life of these shoes. You know, if you're good with Angelus leather paint, you can paint out the scuffs and all that kind of stuff. How nice that looks. Nice and bright, like they're brand new, like they're dead stock. And these are, imagine, from 2016, and I'm wearing these. And I only wore this particular pair a handful of times, and they look good. But the shoelaces are still a little dirty, which is fine. I kind of like that patina. Gives the sneakers character. They don't have to be absolutely perfect. They're dead stock. You know, but... All right, folks, it's starting to get a little late in the afternoon, and I really want to get these orders to the post office and get them mailed out to my customers so they can get them as soon as possible. Thank you, everybody who's been watching this live stream, and thank you for your patience. And, you know, I know these last couple live streams, these last 2 weeks have been awful, you know, and I apologize for that. Getting cheated on, especially during a day like Valentine's Day, it's emotionally, it destroys you emotionally. You know, especially when you invest your heart and your soul and your time and especially your money into people who just don't give a shit. They don't care. And it's not right, and it's not fair, and it sucks. It's awful. And it took its toll on me, which is why I walked away from YouTube for a week. You know, and then did them 2 live streams just to kind of get it out of my system. And little by little, I'm getting back into the hobby talk. So, you know, to talk about stuff like this, you know, sneaker care, baseball cards, jerseys, that's my zone. That's my comfort zone. And I appreciate every one of you that, you know, takes the time to watch these live streams and gets me talking about this kind of stuff, you know. Because life should not be this complicated, man. It doesn't have to be. But people are just awful. They're awful. They really are awful. Especially these women. But I don't want to dwell on that. So hopefully, you know, I'll be doing a review of those jerseys, of the Germany jersey and the 2 Bayern jerseys. Hopefully I'll get into a live stream with that sooner than later. Again, if you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe. Hit that thumbs up button if you haven't done so already. And then check out my eBay store. The link is below in the description box of this live stream. But thank you, everybody, for kind of like, you know, showing your support. You know, you're always going to have, you know, internet trolls and assholes that are going to try to throw you off your game. But, you know, everybody who's gone through like what I just went through or have gone through in the past 14 or 15 months, it's very challenging. It's very challenging. It's very, very painful. It's extremely painful. But, you know, if it wasn't for my eBay store, if it wasn't for my hobbies, sneakers, toy collecting, baseball cards, things like that, you know, to have things to kind of get me away from all of this, you know, and of course, people that are like myself who are going through or have gone through what I just did, you know, it's comforting to know that like I'm not the only one. I'm not saying we should all celebrate tragedy, but it's nice to know that I'm not the only one. That, you know, we can have our political differences, but when it comes to our hobbies, you know, it's something that can actually bring us together on the same page, you know. And I appreciate that, you know. So a big shout out to my friends, my neighbors, my family, all of you here on YouTube, my eBay customers. Time to hit the shower and get out the door, get those to the post office, and that should be it. And we see what happens with my eBay store today. Thank you again. You folks have been killing it. Like always, I got really, really awesome eBay customers. You folks just, man, you're amazing. And that's it. Take care, folks. God bless. Stay safe. I will see you all very soon.